Hello, my name is Brighton Jelke. I'm a graduate student working on a master's in experience design at DePaul University, and I will be presenting developing a trauma-informed interviewing training prototype for law enforcement using virtual reality. So the two research labs that contributed to this project work on exploring solutions at the intersection of emerging technology and positive social impact. This project started out as a way to explore the possibilities of emerging technology in improving law enforcement responses to gender-based violence. And based on our background research, we specifically identified the combination of virtual reality and witness interviewing practices as a significant opportunity area for potential solutions. Gender-based violence is a pervasive problem that primarily affects women, girls, and LGBT/gender nonconforming individuals. The UN reports that worldwide 1 in 3 women have experienced physical or sexual violence at some point in their lives. And despite the prevalence of these crimes, less than 40% of women sought any assistance, and of those, less than 10% sought help from the police. Victims who come in contact with law enforcement are commonly met with skepticism, hostility, neglect, and accusatory victim-blaming behaviors. These hostile conditions pose a significant barrier for the victim's ability to receive justice and minimize trauma. We identified 2 key training areas that would improve the quality of GBV investigations and better support victims' emotional needs, regardless of judicial outcomes. The first area is helping officers understand the role of an unconscious bias, also known as implicit bias, in their assessment and response to GBV crimes. The second is to educate officers of the effects of trauma on victims' behaviors and their abilities to communicate the details of a GBV event. We hypothesized that an interactive virtual reality environment is an ideal format for officers to practice victim-centered, trauma-informed skills and uncover biases through interview scenarios with victims of GBV. Immersive simulated interviews will provide law enforcement repeated opportunities to hone investigative approaches in a space that allows for risk-taking, exploration, and self-discovery. So our primary target audience is law enforcement officers who would be responsible for interviewing and also for extended investigation of GBV crimes. The idea is that the VR training would fit into and supplement existing training practices, which include facilitated discussions. The ultimate goal for this training is to prevent additional harm from coming to victims during the interviewing process. Virtual reality training experiences have proven effective in improving decision-making skills, eliciting empathy, and creating an emotional connection between the trainee and the materials in many domains. However, law enforcement VR training solutions are currently concentrated in tactical topics and first response scenarios. Our solution falls under the category of what's considered soft skills training, where topics like addressing bias in the workplace have become increasingly popular in recent years, but we're not currently aware of any modules targeted towards this kind of interviewing. We've designed a 10 to 15 minute immersive VR experience in which users choose dialogue options based on best practices for trauma-informed interviewing. The virtual character being interviewed will respond with dialogue, facial expressions, and gestures. In this image on the right, you can see the trainee wearing the VR headset and speaking their chosen response. On the left, the character reacts to what was just said with crossed arms. It was very important to us that the design was both an authentic representation of the interviewing experience and an effective use of VR as a medium for learning. Our chosen scenario is based off of the real-life experience of a person whose story has been used in previous training materials from the End Violence Against Women International Organization. The following video contains a short excerpt from what we would consider the good path, where the officer chooses responses that reflect best practices accurately. These videos contain details related to sexual assault. Take your time. I appreciate you coming in.
Okay, thank you. That helps. I'm ready now.
Would you like to have an advocate here with you?
No, this is okay.
Alright, where would you like to start?
I went to a party, and I think I had too much to drink. And Ben, he wouldn't stop, but I said no. I know I told him to stop.
The character's responses, the visual and written feedback, and the VR environment were all carefully designed to increase user presence and recall of information. Each of the decision options is aligned to a specific learning objective based on best practices for trauma-informed interviewing. This opens up the potential for skills assessment, which will help training leaders to focus their interventions. We've already received feedback from our stakeholders that they can see this module being much more effective than current methods for learning and retaining empathy-based interviewing skills. Our next major step is to complete a formal learning evaluation as we continue to iterate the scenario design around this complex and important topic. Thank you.